Perhaps one of the largest contributions to society in the 20s came in the form of jazz music. African-American musicians developed jazz in New Orleans, but it soon became the staple of nightclubs and speakeasies from Chicago to New York. Talented musicians like cornet player and bandleader Louis Armstrong, composer Duke Ellington, and blues singer Bessie Smith helped develop the sound, and white musicians like Benny Goodman helped popularize this new music with white audiences, who began flocking to hear jazz and dance the Charleston in nightclubs and speakeasies. Many of these clubs, like the Cotton Club in New York City's Harlem, only accepted white patrons. Despite the social inequalities, this uniquely African-American music flourished. On February 12, 1924, a white composer by the name of George Gershwin debuted his Rhapsody in Blue in a concert hall in New York City. The composition, which was heavily influenced by jazz, became a popular concert piece. From that point on, it was clear that the Roaring Twenties could just have easily been called the Jazz Age.
Ellington grew up in a close middle-class family in Washington, D.C. His family encouraged him to pursue his love of music and begin studying piano. He began at age 7 and became engrossed in studying art during his high school years. He was offered a scholarship to Pratt Institute located in Brooklyn, New York, but rejected it. Instead, he began to perform professionally at age 17. Duke Ellington was influenced by stride piano players like James P. Johnson and William the Lion Smith. Ellington was one of the originators in big band jazz and led his band for more than half a century, composing thousands of scores and creating one of the most distinctive ensemble sounds in all of Western music. Remarkably, Ellington's playing made a big impact in the world of jazz, bringing in a level of style and sophistication that had never been seen. Cad Calloway was a legendary fireball of talent, whose infectious hi-de-highs, ho-de-hoes, scattin' and jivin' in a baritone singing voice rich and vibrant became the spirited cry of people wanting to be happy. He was an American jazz singer and bandleader. Calloway was a master of energetic scat singing and led one of the United States' most popular African-American big bands from the start of the 1930s through the late 1940s. His parents hoped young Cab would someday study law, but by the time he graduated from high school at the age of 17, he'd already made up his mind to be an entertainer. Calloway's older sister, Blanche, was a singer and his idol. He knew how to bring out the best in the musicians in terms of light entertainment, plus get the audience fired up. Scatting came about because Cab forgot the lyrics to a song and started, what do you know, scatting.
On Saturday night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
He was a prodigy, says art historian and curator Mark Miller, a hardworking kid who helped support his mother and sister by working every type of job there was, including going out on street corners at night to sing for coins. Louis Armstrong was the greatest of all jazz musicians. Armstrong defined what it was to play jazz. His amazing technical abilities, the joy and spontaneity, and amazingly quick, inventive music mind still dominate jazz to this day. Like almost all early jazz musicians, Louis was from New Orleans. He was from a very poor family and was sent to reform school when he was 12 after firing a gun in the air on New Year's Eve. At the school, he learned to play cornet. Later on, he was a headliner on records and radio and in jazz clubs, wowing audiences with the utter fearlessness and freedom of his groundbreaking trumpet solos. His scat singing transformed vocal tradition, and musicians studied his recordings to hear what a horn could do. It's been said that Armstrong uses his horn like a singer's voice and uses his voice like a musical instrument. After World War II, and though the early years of the Cold War, Armstrong served as Ambassador Satch, spreading goodwill for America around the globe, including State Department-sponsored tours and broadcasts in the 60s. He was especially well received in the newly independent nations of Africa, marked by such events as a 1956 concert celebrating Ghana's independence, attended by more than 100,000 Louis Armstrong fans.
Please don't hold it, baby, when I cry. Give me every bit of it, else I'll die. I'm all about that thing. Got a jing, jing, jing. All the time I'm crying. I'm all about that thing. What's the matter, Papa? Please don't Feet off.
Bessie Smith was a rough, crude, violent woman. She was also the greatest of the classic blues singers of the 1920s. Bessie started out as a street musician in Chattanooga. In 1912, Bessie joined a traveling show as a dancer and singer. Bessie Smith earned the title of Empress of the Blues by virtue of her forceful vocal delivery and command of the genre. Her singing displayed a soulfully phrased, boldly delivered, and nearly definitive grasp of the blues. In addition, she was an all-around entertainer who danced, acted, and performed comedy routines with her touring company. She was the highest-paid black performer of her day and arguably reached a level of success greater than that of any African-American entertainer before her. She left behind a rich, influential legacy of 160 recordings kept between 1923 and 1933. Some of the great vocal divas, you may have heard of them, who owe a debt to Smith include Billie Holiday, Dinah Washington, Sarah Vaughan, Aretha Franklin, and Janis Joplin.
Mise à la page pour l'écouter sur tous les temps, vous n'avez qu'à tourner le bouton. Dès que se lève le jour, voilà ce qu'on vous propose. Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Cab Calloway. Prenez le Luxembourg, vous aurez la même chose. Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Cab Calloway. Il joue sur tous les postes. Béziers, Montpellier, Toulouse. Jamais Carmen ou Poste. Toujours des postes, toujours des blues. Si vous êtes un peu souple, qui en connaît la cause. Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Cab Calloway. Vous en faites dans votre vin, voilà ce qu'on vous annonce. Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Cab Calloway. On réclame du Chopin, on a pour toute réponse Armstrong. Come on, Duke Ellington. Cab Calloway. Oh, me. Oh, pardon, don't be baboni, the baptist, the bond, people who be. Oh, baby, don't check for me. I don't believe I have to be not for me. Stop it, if you bound, people, Si on passe des disques, on a le risque d'écouter sans discontinuer. Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Cab Calloway. On fait des critiques de satire sur l'Amérique, elle nous a quand même envoyé. Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Count